Welcome to podcast 43. Yes, 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 maybe, but yes.
That's new.
Yeah,
Did y'all hear that?
You had to hear that
Yeah.
one.
Oh yeah. Okay. All
That
right.
had me scared for a sec.
Maybe they should have put that. Maybe they should have made that a thing at the beginning of the pandemic instead of at the tail end of it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They kind of dropped the ball on this one. Well, this is podcast 43. Thank you for joining us on this day. We have the
That's right.
sequel crew, which is comprised of myself, Fulton Collins, and my buddy, or my two buddies, I should say. But my regular
Yeah.
co-host and host, Chris Borg, and then my buddy Grahame Scott.
Hello.
Yeah, we make up the sequel crew where we watch the sequels that people may not have known about, or may have, or maybe didn't want to watch.
They're lost.
Well, that answer lies in the eye of the beholder. So I guess we'll jump in. Which one do you guys want to talk about first? Darko. We're covering Darko and American Psycho 2, All American Girl.
You're too excited.
Yeah.
I think we should. I think that we should go in order since of when we watch them, as well as release date. So
okay, yeah, fair.
Works.
So we first watched American Psycho 2. Oh, and I just want to get this out of the way. I don't think I would have been able to do these on my own. So I'm very happy that we all watched them together.
A sequel crew sticks together.
Yeah,
That's
it makes
right.
it a little bit easier on us.
But yeah, American Psycho 2, All American Girl, which came out in 2002. So 2 years after the first American Psycho. But while that film is an adaptation of a Bret Easton Ellis novel, this is actually an adaptation of its own original idea, actually, where the script was actually the script of the film was called The Girl Who Wouldn't Die. And
interesting.
They took it and then they added a bunch of stuff and made it American Psycho 2, and they added this whole subplot.
They 10 Cloverfield Laned is
pretty much.
We could, I'd say in that film I don't know. Some people didn't like those scenes, but to refocus, Grahame, you're our guest, so we're interested to know what your first impressions were of American Psycho 2.
I'm honestly so surprised they got Christian Bale in for a cameo.
But it's funny because you
him.
don't see his face.
They got the
No, it's definitely Christian Bale.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's gotta be.
Yeah, because the movie actually opens with the main character. The main character's name is Rachel Newman, who is played by
Mila Kunis.
And she actually, as a kid, she witnesses Patrick Bateman kidnapping her babysitter, and then it kind of awakens something in her. And she has
a narration that follows throughout the whole film, but specifically in this opening scene, if I can quote her, if I can remember it correctly, she saw what Patrick Bateman was doing. When it's like, from this moment on, I knew that I was going to be the person to kill all serial killers, or something like that. So she picks up an ice pick, or an ice pick or a knife or something, and she stabs Patrick Bateman, and then she walks out, and she never tells anyone that she did it or anything. That's all like a mystery. And then we have a time jump to her in college, and she's studying at the most prestigious
top criminology department.
Yeah, and there's this professor Shackman. I'm forgetting his name, but he's played by William Shatner. And there's a line where he enters the room. Sorry, there's a line where she's like, and he's like the best at his job, and he was on the FBI detective team and everything. So you're expecting this to be like a pretty gruff looking dude, and in comes like older William Shatner, who looks just like a sweet,
A little portly.
middle-aged man, So it's a little it takes you back a sec. But yeah.
Yeah,
it's a weird movie for sure. It's very, I don't know how fast I want to get into spoilers. I don't know what you guys are thinking.
well, I think that from the get-go, we can at least say that it really lacks the satirical edge that the first film has, which I think something else that's kind of fascinating about not only this film, not only American Psycho, but also Donnie Darko, is that like they're both kind of in that same area of like movies that I would say were pretty like formative to me, and I think a lot of people that really are into cinema, just kind of being like,
they're the transitionary films, I would say, you might be able to call them.
Yeah, stuff that you watch when you're 14 or 13, you think it's like the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this kind of, I think they did with the narration, they kind of try to do the same thing as the first film, where Patrick Bateman's doing like a narration, and they're both delusional. Mila Kunis and Patrick Bateman's Mila Kunis's character and Christian Bale's character are both like these delusional people that kind of that are very full of themselves. But American Psycho is actually like one of the funniest movies I think I've ever seen. Like it's actually hilarious.
Like the business card scene.
Yeah, like
classic stuff.
The business card scene, like all of that, like how it kind of critiques like Reaganism, just kind of like that type of kind of consumer culture, and just the 80s in general. This doesn't really have that much of an angle to go from. And it's not funny.
Just to like, well, I think it's funny in a way that the filmmakers probably weren't intending, but like going back to the narration thing, when Mila Kunis is doing her narration, I mean, she was really young. I'm assuming she did this, or this was before, a little bit before that 70s show, or was this while that 70s show?
No, this was during that 70s show. Okay. This was like right in the height of that 70s show. She was this
makes sense then, because her she has the same delivery as she does on that 70s show with a lot of stuff. Like, this character feels just like a more
very full of themselves.
Yeah, more. Yeah, so it's not too far from her character on that 70s show. It's just that she actually like kills people and stuff. But her narration, I just think it's really funny. Just with her delivery, a lot of the times I'm struggling to think of like specific quotes and stuff. But I think that kind of, it's an issue that kind of follows throughout the film. And just to like, say really quickly, like, I don't really mind this film. Like, I don't think it's not a great film, but I think it's like kind of like, it's entertaining if you want to pop it on. I mean, I don't think many people would go to it with the same expectation as they would, walking into American Psycho. So I think if you have your expectations kind of set, it'll be fine. And it's a brisk watch. Like, it's pretty quickly paced. Yeah, like it didn't overstay its welcome, which is something we might have to talk about later with our later film. But where was I going with that? Just to kind of like touch on, it's a really odd movie too, because the score is really like wacky and zany, almost like it was meant for like a cartoon. So you'll see like Mila Kunis like stalking people, and
like playing the zany trumpet music.
Yeah, and she's like in the process of killing someone to go like like something like that.
the twangy banjo.
Yeah, it's just a weird. It's a weird mixture of I mean, it's not shot horribly gruesome, but you have somebody killing somebody, and it's just to like the oddest like score you can kind of think of. And I have I don't know if I would really like to hear the director and actor commentary on this on American Psycho 2, just to kind of see where their head was when making this, because it's just an odd mixture. And that would be interesting if we could do that. I just kind of want to know what they were going for, because
the Blu-ray does have a director's commentary.
That's interesting.
Found yourself a grail.
Yeah. Like, because we know that the Jason Bateman kind of thing was pushed onto this movie, so I'm wondering if it was supposed to be a dark comedy, but it doesn't hold itself as a dark comedy either. It's weird, because I feel like that's what it's trying to do. Sorry.
And then also the poster is an outright lie. I don't think she ever uses a sickle to kill
does
anybody.
not.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's also another interesting choice.
Perhaps a little nod at Mila Kunis's
Russian ties.
Well, yeah, she was in fact born in the USSR, so so maybe it's a little bit of a Easter egg on the poster. But despite all that, I would like to also talk about how this movie is actually just a slight retelling of Shakespeare's Macbeth, but for a TA position.
An interesting theory you've got there.
Yeah,
like to hear I can
see that.
Well, I mean, it's literally like I have to do everything so I can elevate myself to power.
Become the best.
I have to, because the point, because she's because William Shatner, her professor, is like, I'm looking for a TA position next semester, and people have to apply for it, and there's a bunch of people that are competing with her, including this one girl that's her friend also, that has like a romantic relationship with William Shatner.
Cassandra, I think was Cassandra.
And so she's in the running, and so like then it's just kind of like Mila Kunis like killing all these people to get the TA position. And try to get into the FBI, to try to go to Quantico,
so that she can then stop serial killers.
Yeah, and it's weird, because there's, like I said, it's a brisk watch, so the film doesn't really waste much time, and so you hear this line about her wanting to kill serial killers, and then she just immediately starts killing people. And then she has like a one-off line where she's like, I'm just doing what I have to do so I can get to the position of killing other people. But I do want to highlight one pretty funny scene where there's
my first day.
Yeah. There's a subplot, I guess you could call it a subplot. They spend some time on it, and it's like I said, it's an odd film, and they go to the well, this actually lines up perfectly with what I was going to talk about. I forget the dude's name, but there's a character, she has a male classmate, and his family donates a ton of money to the college. And so there's a line, he's trying to like swindle his way into the TA position, where he drops, a good line about his cousin hacking the mainframe, which is a pretty nice line. But then they decide to go out on dinner, and there's this waiter, and he just acts nervous throughout the whole dinner sequence. And then he just goes, "It's my first day." And then that, you would think that's it, but it comes up again later in the, in the last like 15 minutes of the movie. But with Mila Kunis takes this male classmate back to their room, and they start to engage in, start to kiss and stuff. And then she has to go get a rubber. And then he lays on the bed, and he's like, "Whoa, she's got a pee sheet." because there's like a tarp under the bed, and then he like lays on his stomach, and you see this thing go around his neck, and then the camera pans out, and Mila Kunis chokes him out with a condom, which I thought was a pretty inventive kill.
And then
Yeah,
she goes
very.
ribbed for her pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
There's a lot of
awesome.
yeah, the script's pretty good. Dialogue's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I think also that also kind of highlights a problem with how a lot of how shooting a lot of the kills in this movie are very lazy and also
Yeah.
just like low effort. Like
The one with the secretary.
Yeah, the one with the secretary is quite it's quite odd. Like that's the only way I can describe this film is I want to understand the choices in the filmmaking and like the whole aesthetic of the film. Because like we were talking about with the secretary, you only see her die in the reflection of a microwave, and there's only like a tiniest little bit of blood splattered on it, and it's
Someone
like
squeezed half a ketchup packet in it or something.
Yeah, it's weird. But just to talk about one more line that I really like, the Mila Kunis's father in this film is amazing. I mean, he's
great.
he steals the show every time he shows up. And
well, friend of the show, Ben Noble would call that a heat check, where where somebody shows up in the movie for only a brief amount of time, but they do a lot with what they have. And they make a real impact.
Yeah, I mean, he
stole the show.
Completely. Yeah, there's a line by Mila Kunis's mom where they're talking about going out to dinner, and she's like, "You know, your father can't have Italian; it's too spicy."
Italian.
And then it cuts to a face of him like going like. Mm-hmm. I know you can't hear it because it's a podcast, but just imagine what that what kind of visual.
Picture yourself there.
He's also fitted. He's kind of got like he kind of looks like Wallace Shawn, you know, but like with a different face. And you know how much I love Rifkin's Festival.
Yeah.
So that definitely gave it some extra points. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm very. I mean, I can't say I didn't have a good time watching it with you guys. But probably if I wasn't, it would probably be not the best time.
Yeah, I think if you have
completely agree.
Yeah, if you got some friends, I would say pop it on. I mean, it's not going to change everything. You don't really need to know the plot of the first one to follow this one. Just to talk about another thing that I wanted to briefly bring up, there are two kind of plot twists. Neither of them make sense. It's really weird. The first one involves Mila Kunis's character is trying to seduce the Professor Bobby. I keep forgetting his last name, but William Shatner. She's trying to seduce William Shatner, and then she drops like a bomb on him that's like, I was at Patrick Bateman's house. I'm the one that killed Patrick
8
Bateman.
years ago.
Yeah, and then she's like, I knew Clara was my babysitter, and then it turns out that Clara, the girl that was Bateman's last victim, was dating William Shatner, or like a mistress of William Shatner, like 7 or 8 years ago or something. And then so that just kind of happens. And I guess that was a twist they needed to kind of like, I don't know what the idea was behind that one. And the second twist comes that Mila Kunis's character met Rachel Newman, because her Mila Kunis's character's her name is Rachel Newman, and then it turns out that she actually isn't Rachel Newman. She met a Rachel Newman and killed Rachel Newman, and then took over her identity in life. And so, okay, sure, it's told in kind of a confusing way, but then the ending of the film comes, where Mila Kunis puts Rachel and the professor in this car, and she, drives this car into a lake and it explodes. And then the story built out around this explosion is that the Rachel Newman, the real person,
Was the
committed all
killer.
these crimes. But the issue with that is that there are multiple people that know that Mila Kunis was not the real Rachel Newman, but everyone runs with this thing that Rachel Newman did it, and it makes no sense. I was like, really? I don't know. That may have bothered me. That may have bothered me more than you guys, but like, I just don't understand the logic in there, because she has a therapist and he knows.
But he doesn't do anything about it.
No,
Yeah.
he writes a book
Yeah,
about
writes
One in
Rachel
a billion.
Newman. I was like, what? Like,
he writes a book, and then I
Yeah.
can't. And I
And
feel
in
like
the end,
it's inexplainable. I don't like.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
well, it plays into the big twist at the end.
Yeah,
They're all there at Quantico. The ex-psychiatrist turned author has written a
Yeah.
book about the Rachel Newman murders.
I would
Mhm.
also like to say that Mila Kunis has publicly disowned this film.
Why would she?
Well, I mean,
Why would she?
she would go on to do better roles. I mean, I think she grew as an actress.
Like
Well,
Ted.
this was definitely like her trying to cross over into film as
Yeah.
being mostly a TV actress up
Yeah.
to this point. So to star in anything, I guess, is a big deal, even if it is American Psycho 2.
So, were there any more final thoughts on American Psycho 2?
No, I guess my final thought is that people, many people will watch American Psycho and should,
Mhm.
but most people have forgotten or didn't even know that American Psycho 2 existed. And
forever in the shadow of its predecessor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess I would slightly recommend this if you have a group of friends and you're looking for something kind of wacky and kind of weird, or not even wacky and weird, but just kind of funny and odd. I'd say,
If you're a Shatner fan.
yeah, Shatner completionist. That's quite interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So, Graham, would you recommend this film?
I take a similar road. I mean, if you're interested to see what happened to Patrick Bateman after the first film, the real Patrick Bateman.
Is it canon?
Yeah, exactly. And to see if his sort of legacy was continued, I definitely recommend it.
Mm-hmm. Chris, would you recommend this movie?
yeah, I mean, it's 88 minutes. It's just watch it with friends.
Mm-hmm.
The music cues alone will give you some distance as far as material to work off of.
If watch it for anything, watch it for The Father.
And also the fact that it was directed by someone named Morgan Freeman.
And yes, it is that one that you're thinking of. That's
right.
That Morgan Freeman.
That's right. Star of Going in Style and Las
Vegas. All right. Well, I guess we're ready to move on to a film that has a cult status, much like its first film, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Darko. Where do we want to begin with this one, fellas?
I'd like to pose a question to both of you before we get into this. Would you rather be a nobody, invisible, or would you rather be an asshole? Or both?
Or a teacher?
Or a teacher?
It's, I don't know. That's whatever that question that you're posing is. It's quite deep when you really think about it.
It is. Or
let that hang in your heads for a little while as we talk about this.
And that's just one line of great deep dialogue from Darko. the 2009 sequel to Donnie Darko, not directed by Richard Kelly, disowned by Richard Kelly. Chris
I wonder
Fisher.
why. I wonder why he wouldn't like this one. I guess we should. So I had not seen. Well, not that I don't know. I have not seen Donnie Darko probably like 5 or 6 years. I haven't seen it since my freshman year of high school. So watching this with, I'm glad I watched it with y'all, because y'all were able to kind of point out, the connections to the first one, because it's just been such a long time for me. So there's a lot of references to the first one in terms of like certain things people will say, and also like iconography, like Frank's head, similar locations like a theater, stuff like that. And so this movie is an hour and 43 minutes long. So it
feels like it's 3 hour and 40 minutes long.
Yeah, this is also, I think, quite an odd movie. And it is kind of shot like a porno.
Yeah.
I think we can kind of all,
not white balanced.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. But Graham, what were your first impressions of S. Darko?
I always heard about S. Darko and how it's kind of the forbidden film, kind of cast into the vaults.
Mm-hmm.
And I was surprised to know that it had a theatrical release, because, it looked like a straight to VHS porno.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a single one of the characters was likable in any way. I mean, y'all could disagree with me, but they were all kind of terrible people in their own ways.
I'm trying to think if there was a character that I liked. I mean, I
don't know.
I don't
think I really had.
Yeah, continue, Chris. Sorry.
I was gonna say Elizabeth Berkley's character, though, kind of not a
was she
really
the
big part?
Christian lady?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think she did anything wrong. She was just weird.
Yeah, she was just kind of brainwashed.
Yeah.
I mean, Samantha Darko, the lead, I don't think she's a bad person, but she also doesn't do much to be the lead, the person that we're following. I'm trying to find a way to talk about the film, because I don't really know where to begin. So I guess I'll just start off with the opening. It opens with medieval text doing a short recap of the ending of Donnie Darko.
The plane was never found.
Was that a thing in the original movie? That the plane was never found? Okay.
Oh, no. I don't think so.
Because I thought that was weird. So the film opens up in medieval text saying that like 7 years ago, Donnie Darko was killed. A jet engine had fallen onto him and killed him, but they never found the plane. That was a specific thing that they kind of keep bringing back up in this movie. Yeah, and I just think the font's kind of funny for it to be like medieval, but it's, whatever. It's just really odd. I don't know. And then, so it turns out that Samantha has, she's so heartbroken over Donnie's death and everything, and she can't really stand to be in the hometown. There's a quote from her, which I find kind of funny. And she was like, you know what it feels like to live in a town where everyone knows everything about your life, but you're kind of invisible. And then that leads into the question that Grahame proposed to us earlier. It centered around Samantha and her friend, which I don't remember her name. They're traveling to California to be dancers in a club, I think, and their car breaks down and they meet some dude, and I'm forgetting the actor's name, but he's in the Netflix show White Gold, I think, or White Crack or something.
White Cracker.
It's actually a good show. I think he's a good actor. I think he definitely got better as time went on. So their car breaks down, he picks them up, and they have to stay in like this small little town. And there's this hobo character named Iraq Jack, which his name is actually like Joe Sparrow. or
The
Johnson.
Jack Sparrow fits him much better, if you ask me.
Jack Sparrow does fit him much better, but there's a reveal later on in the movie that he is the grandson to Roberta Sparrow, which wrote the philosophy of time traveling, which I
From the
believe,
first film,
yeah, from the
Yeah,
first
the old
movie.
crazy old lady. in the
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah, this film, it just doesn't make a lot of sense, and it doesn't, to me. I couldn't tell where it was going. I felt like it didn't have a super clear sense of trajectory, and I don't know. It's
Yeah, I agree. I think I disliked it a lot more than American Psycho 2
Mhm.
because it also it looked like a lot of the parts of the film, it looks like they didn't even white balance it. Like
the
like there's just
cinematography is a
somewhat
little off.
it's a lot of it was overexposed and it just disorienting. Yeah. And on top of that, it's a lot of it is kind of a retread of the first film, but just done a lot poorer, and it looks a lot worse because they do the whole like, oh, the world's gonna end, tangent universes, and then
Things
they do it
falling
in a
from the
much more
sky.
they do it in a much more confusing way because
It's very confusing.
they do it 3 times over, and like
Yeah.
Donnie Darko is like, I would say it's a pretty straightforward movie. Like, it's pretty easy to understand, and like there's nothing wrong with making a movie that's complicated, but this movie actually does not make any sense. Like,
The complication doesn't benefit it anyway.
Yeah, it's more convoluted than
Complicated.
Yeah, because that's like and maybe maybe I have to have a better understanding of what happened in the first one, so maybe my knowledge on the first one's failing me. But in this film, I think the thing that gets me is, we were talking about, Donnie sacrifices himself to kind of save everyone around him to make their lives a little bit better, if I'm remembering correctly. Is that what we kind of talked about at the ending of the first one? So in this film, you don't have that. I mean, you have a type of sacrifice, yes, in the middle, like I think in like the midway part of the film. But the sacrifice is ultimately undone by the ending of the film, and the ending of the film is really odd, and I don't even know how I would go about telling it, but essentially Sam dies, and all of the character progression, if all the character progression done in the film is like redone, so
even worse.
In like we were talking about with Donnie Darko, at least that that reset switch makes sense. Something was sacrificed, so there's something at stake. It makes sense in Donnie Darko. In this one, it doesn't, because I don't think the character progression is too meaningful. I'm trying to be like, I've said this time and time again, people can grow as filmmakers and writers. There's no like, make one bad film and you're done.
of course,
There's always time to grow. So I'm trying to remain, constructive in talking about Darko, but I think a lot of the acting is a little weird. I don't know if that is from, it could be multiple different things. It could have been the script, the directing, I don't know. But it all comes off like a little kind of cheesy, and like, look how I'm angsty. I'm there's no nuance to it. None of it really feels too authentic.
and
I guess is what I could
that's not to
say.
say, and I wouldn't say that the original film isn't the original film is quite angsty.
Yeah,
But it's authentic.
But it
but
feels
it's
more
authentic.
believable in that one, I would say.
I mean, Richard Kelly wrote it when he was in his 20s, and quite young. and they also just kind of they just try to do kind of, oh, look at how similar this is, type scenes. Like, they go to the movie theater, they go to a movie theater in this, they show a double billing of a cinema, and it's like the two movies are supposed to be like, oh, look, it's exactly the same, but they're just different movies that that the cinema's playing, because this takes place in the 90s instead of the 80s. And they just, they bring up things that are contemporary for the time, like Operation Desert Storm.
Oh yeah, an awesome part of this film is that like most characters wear shorts and not pants. And normally, normally I wouldn't pull that out, but like all the cops wear shorts, and it's just like the funniest thing for some reason, because
look like Boy Scouts.
Yeah, a lot of them are shot in like mid shots where you see their pants, but you think they would be pants, and then they switch to a full shot where you see their whole body and they're wearing shorts. It's just like the funniest thing to me for some reason. But yeah, the thing with Iraq Jack is it turns out that he's the key to it all,
to saving the world,
I guess. Yeah. And so there's a plot with meteors falling down, and
possible alien fungus.
Yeah, but I don't. So in the beginning, I just wanted to ask you guys a question, because I'm struggling to remember. In the beginning, when we first see Iraq Jack up on the windmill and the meteorite is coming down, does he jump off of it, or is he just
he jumps off?
Yeah, he jumps off of
into the portal.
Okay, so I guess you do. I guess I was wrong. So you still do have a sacrifice by Iraq Jack, but he's not. I mean, he's a main character, I suppose, but he doesn't hold much weight. I don't know.
Well,
it's weird. I mean, I guess he
does much screen time either.
He takes what Jake Gyllenhaal's character Donnie Darko in the first film. He takes his place pretty much as like kind of a sacrificial lamb for the good of humanity in the world.
Yeah.
On Earth, and so I think why the first film is a lot more effective, on top of it looking a million times better, and is also because you're seeing it from that perspective of somebody trying to like get a grasp and understand like their position in the world and like what they have to do and like all that. And so it doesn't really, you don't get that like sacrifice at the end. It's just kind of like somebody else that like doesn't feel that you don't feel like you have as much of a connection to.
And so Donnie Darko, the original, is in the fact that it's a very good teen movie. I feel like, that's when I saw it the first time. And
about finding your place.
Not to say it's about finding your place and ultimately living up to this destiny or something like that, not to sound too out there. And then this new one, I feel like, just kind of tosses it all on its head.
Well, I mean, I agree. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to collect my thoughts. It's weird that, so the ending, you see Iraq Jack, and in the beginning of the film, Iraq Jack is on the top of this windmill. This meteor comes down, he jumps off, so his death is completely avoided in the beginning. And through, I don't want to really go into it because it's a lot to explain, but ultimately you have him being in touch with whatever cosmic force is, that helped out Donnie Darko and helped out Samantha Darko and stuff, is talking to Iraq Jack, and they say, you're the key, you're the key to it all, to saving the earth. So he stays up on the windmill and gets hit. And then you have a replay of what happened in the beginning of the movie. But I just don't know, what doesn't make sense to me is how does the death of Iraq Jack change these characters and inspire them to do what they do? Because the way it's filmed, they're just kind of like, oh, okay. And then they just go off and do their, but but
Yeah.
they're not completely different, but they make different decisions from what they did in the beginning, but it's not really clear how the death of Iraq Jack has affected them. Like in Donnie Darko, it's very clear how his life has affected his family members and his friends and his teachers and stuff. In this one, they just kind of look at the body and walk away, and then they go
They're just
like,
oh,
they're like,
well.
hey, maybe we should try something different out this time. And it's like, I don't,
Maybe.
Yeah. It's weird. Yeah.
I was very amazed that they managed to get Heaven or Las Vegas by the Cocteau Twins to play at the end of the movie. I was just like, wow, that was quite a. I can't believe that they got the licensing to that.
Mm-hmm.
And following in the fashion of the first film where they'd play pop music, but in that film it was more. I think it made a little bit more sense because it was like contemporary. It was 80s music, Head Over Heels by Tears for Fears, or
Echo and the Bunnymen.
The Killing Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen. This movie takes place in 95, and it's playing music from well, I guess it's from 1990 exactly.
I'm interested to know what the budget was.
I think it was $4 million. Which,
well, I guess they cast a lot of unknown actors at the time.
I mean, like, yeah, like
I'd
the
never
only
heard any of them.
I mean, we of course pointed out, or you pointed out to me, because I was like, I feel like I've seen. Oh
yeah, what's that dude's name?
Isn't it John Hawkes? Yeah, John Hawkes is in this movie, and like,
who's the father from me and you and everybody we know? Is that right?
Me and you and everyone we know.
Everyone we know.
Yeah, and I mean, he's one of those people that shows up in a lot of things. Like, I don't know, I'm just perusing his credits on Letterboxd. He's in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Contagion.
Oh, I forgot he was.
From Dusk Till Dawn, Lincoln, Rush Hour. So a little bit of everything. But yeah, like, he's a pretty good actor. Oh, he's in Blue Streak.
Well, we're gonna watch it soon. I promise.
Yeah,
we're gonna cover it.
But yeah, like, he's a good actor. And then Elizabeth Berkley's in this too. She's not really a good actress, but those are the 2 most high-profile people that I can think of in this movie for the most part. Everybody else is pretty unknown to me, at least.
Well, we forgot to talk about the post-credit scene that they actually did get Jake Gyllenhaal come back and say, "It's me, Donnie." It's a weird little
psych.
Yeah, psych.
I would really like if like they just got like one obscure character to like reprise their role. Like they got like Seth Rogen to come back and play his character in Donnie Darko.
He would probably fit well into like this weird Midwestern kind of town. It'd be interesting.
They really do just make it. I mean, it's really, like, on top of it having awful cinematography, I think it also like there's just there's the sound mixing's bad. There's like an overabundance of like CGI for some reason. Like, they do like the Donnie, they do like thing in Donnie Darko with like the souls and stuff, with like kind of like the shimmery like aura look.
The penis too.
But we call it the penis test. The penis too. But on top of that, they also had like the meteors and stuff.
Yeah.
They could easily be something that somebody's Windows screensaver would be in like 2004.
They have shots traveling through like a black hole and going through like the extra dimensions and stuff like that. And
it cheapens something that already feels cheap because of the writing. and everything else. And yeah, I really didn't like this one. I don't know.
But
I
now
think
you can say you've seen it.
now I can
That's
say
true.
that
That's
I've
true.
seen it. That's right. I can tell. So many people
Tell your kids about it.
This
Mm-hmm.
this will always come up in conversations. It's
It
like
will.
I saw the sequel to Donnie Darko,
Mm-hmm.
and people will say, "Well, was it good? Would you recommend it?" And I go, "No."
No, would not.
Well, it's really quite interesting. You see,
Well, it's,
Very nuanced.
yeah. Well, I'm
mhm,
just happy that Richard Kelly, he grew as an auteur, and
I agree.
he made. And he went and he didn't stick with Donnie Darko. He didn't do he didn't do the easy thing.
Mhm.
He made Southland Tales a better film,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And I don't know, I haven't seen his third film and his only other film, The Box, which came out actually the same year as this, but
Mhm.
I can tell you that the concepts that it's probably touching upon are much better than
I do want to see
what
The
was on
Box.
display in Darko. Yeah, Roddy Rich is in The Box.
I was about to make that joke. Great minds think alike. Well, Graham, would you recommend this movie?
It's hard to say, because in the future, I'd love to be sitting down as an old man and something happens around me. And I beg the question,
Someone
am I
offers you
invisible
spicy.
or am I the asshole?
Someone offers you
And
spicy Italian food.
some spicy Italian food, and I turn it away. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, it's too much. But overall, I don't think I'd recommend this even for humor's sake. Like American Psycho 2, I don't think I could have gotten through it without y'all running a commentary.
Yeah.
Because I almost fell asleep halfway through it during that big halfway moment. Instead of shocking me, it just put me to sleep.
Yeah.
Well, with this movie, I mean, I'm always pretty much intrigued by, like, it's a part of my brain I can't really turn off, but I'm always kind of intrigued by, like, reimagining sequels and stuff like that. So I was intrigued to see where it went, but around the halfway mark, I legit thought the movie was almost over, and then we had to pause it, and then I saw that we were at the halfway mark, and I was like, oof. And then unfortunately, the second half of the film only gets more convoluted, and it doesn't quite make much sense in terms of the science
jumps
and
back in time.
Yeah, the science and logic of it all. It doesn't make sense, and the ending kind of it kind of makes those time jumps that happen in the middle part of the movie kind of irrelevant. And so when you get to that part, you're like, oh well, damn, the the thing we spent like 20 minutes on doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So I can't really highly recommend this film. I mean, if I think there are better films that you might be able to pull more from than this one. But if you're a diehard Donnie Darko fan, I guess, yeah. Just know that actually, if you want to appreciate the first movie a little bit more, like I feel like I'm appreciating the first one a little bit more after watching that one. It has inspired me to rewatch it. Maybe that might be the way to go. But if I'm gonna follow in Chris's footsteps with this one. Just check out if you like Donnie Darko, just check out Southland Tales.
Yeah.
I'm yet to see it.
Yeah, so it's about, I think it's a little bit longer, or no, it's about the 2 hour mark, right, Chris?
It's like 220. I haven't, in the con cut, I think is like 240. So.
Yeah. So it's a little bit longer, but if you want to see what Richard Kelly would go on to do, I would say check that one out. It's pretty interesting. We do have an episode on it if you want to hear that as well.
Shameless advertising.
Yeah.
And yeah, these sequel, I am,
not to call back to like 2 episodes ago.
And I think these sequels are interesting to talk about because of just how forgotten they are, and I would be interested in covering more of these, such as
Showgirls 2.
Showgirls 2,
Porky's 3.
Showgirls. Oh no, I
don't know.
Well, actually, Porky's did come up when we were watching this, because I did say, you know, there are movies that exist that I think are just like evil, like just like wrong,
heinous.
Like, and Porky's probably fits that category.
Oh, it's in that camp for sure.
As does like Run, Hide, Fight, in my opinion. But neither of these films are bad in that way. So I guess that's a positive.
Yeah, I think we will be seeing a return of the sequel crew.
Yeah,
because there's plenty.
Maybe
there's a lot of dough there for us to
anyone
to
remember
look at.
Basic Instinct 2, Caddyshack 2?
There we go. Yeah, there's a lot of sequels, man. There's
Home Alone 4.
There's a barrel we can go search down. That would be pretty fun.
Doesn't smell too good in there, but
at least it'll be interesting. So yeah, I guess
11-9.
Oh yeah. I guess, are we ready to move into our weekly recap?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna do the ad break.
Well,
yeah.
Well, first, I think we should maybe just say what next week's films are gonna be. Just because it kind of, you know, because we just finished talking about the movies, and that was kind of where it was before we shifted things to the front. But next week's films are going to be, it's another double feature. We're doing 2005's Diary of a Mad Black Woman, directed by Darren Grant, the debut of Medea, of Tyler Perry's Medea character on the big screen, as well as a later Medea film, Medea's Big Happy Family from 2011, directed by Tyler Perry, the man himself. We will be having Medea super fan Cody Workman back on the podcast from his second appearance after our 2020
best of favorites,
2020 best of recap, and he's gonna be, you know, we're gonna be shooting the shit about one of the most fascinating film franchises in recent memory.
How many Medea films are there?
I want to say how many
8?
like well the thing is that there's the,
how do you classify it?
There's the Medea cinematic universe, where there's like, you know, like Medea shows up in movies that aren't Medea centric. So but according to this fancy Wikipedia infographic, Medea has made an appearance in 12 films.
Wow.
2 of them not being Medea centric movies, and then the other 9 being Medea centric.
Oh wow. It doesn't even feel like 8, 9 have been out.
All of your work cut out
crazy.
For you.
Yeah, we do.
But you know, we're excited to talk Medea. I've only seen Medea Goes to Jail. Had a grand time with that one. So that's next week. Diary of a Black Woman and Medea's Big Happy Family.
All right, and we will be right back after this ad break. Okay, and we are back. Well, Chris, what have you been watching over the past week?
Well, over the past week, I have been watching not as much as I'd like to. I think I think I would definitely like to boost those numbers a little bit when it comes to films. I think I'm just kind of burnt out after the semester, but I should be back in the groove of things. soon. And I would like to talk about a film that actually both me and you watched together, Little Man, Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Yeah.
Keenan Ivory Wayans' film from 2006 with Marlon and Sean Wayans, where Marlon Wayans plays a little person that has to masquerade as a baby to steal a diamond back.
Mm-hmm. Well, from the crew that brought, well, from the crew that brought us Scary Movie 1 and Scary Movie 2, I had seen this movie a lot when I was a kid. I remember having the DVD, and I loved this movie as a kid. And it didn't hold up, unfortunately. I think my expectations may have been a little bit too high. We were advised by one of our friend of the show, part of the Hoagies and Stogies crew, Andrew. He said that it wasn't worth it, that it didn't hold up, and he was he was right.
I disagree. I mean, I think that the gender politics in this film are quite abhorrent.
Oh God!
But I do think that there is something quite funny about Marlon Wayans saying "goo goo gaga" in a baby voice.
I mean, I agree. Like, I love
order in the court.
I love the concept of it. But I think there were only like 3 times where I laughed, and there are 3 really good bits, but I don't know if they make up to watch the movie, and it's not a long movie.
No.
I mean, if you watch it with a few friends, you'd probably be fine, because it is quite something to kind of see. But Tracy Morgan's pretty good. I thought Tracy Morgan was pretty funny in this. One of my favorite bits where there's a which is the other brother? Sean Wayans?
Yeah.
Sean Wayans is also in this movie, and he plays kind of like the more straight man. And I want to check out more of his like serious roles, because I think he'd kind of be a good actor, but I haven't seen enough of his serious roles to really say. But not to get too distracted, but he is having a dinner with his wife, and they're getting the results of their pregnancy back. So he has a dude that has a keytar, and he's gonna come out when they reveal the news, and he's serenade his wife and stuff. And so every single time the dude keeps talking, he just keeps talking and talking until Sean Wayans will give him money, and then Sean Wayans will give him money, be like, "Oh man, you didn't have to do that." I don't know why that bit really got me, and it only happens like twice, but that bit got me. And then the note from Tracy Morgan also got me, because in the film, Tracy Morgan is kind of he's kind of perceived as the dumb character.
Yeah.
And so it's a very Charlie Day kind of Always Sunny thing, when you see how he spells stuff, and he leaves a note that's completely like nonsensical and written in like gibberish and stuff. That kind of got me, but I always forget what the third thing that made me laugh was.
Oh, the part where you're talking about, the part where like Marlon Wayans eats the diamond,
it doesn't sound good.
And then he poops the diamond out.
I forgot about that.
I kind of want to check this out.
I don't know.
I mean, like a lot of the jokes about like Marlon Wayans just being like a total like perv and like sexually assaulting women are just definitely definitely make you wince a lot.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I will say
it's very much in its time, you'd say.
I will say Chaz Palminteri as the mob boss is great
So
casting. He's pretty much just playing his character from like A Bronx Tale, a bunch of other movies, because he's kind of typecast as like a mobster in films, and I think he does a good job.
Yeah, there's like a subplot where they're like making fun of The Godfather, I think, and so he's like this mafiosa, and Marlon Wayans and Tracy Morgan owe him money, so that's why they do this heist. So it's a pretty funny little cut ins that they do.
Yeah, but no, they're just better high concept comedies to watch.
Yeah, watch Scary Movie or Scary Movie 2. They're very dumb, but they're so funny.
a better Wayans effort.
Yeah, agreed. Graham, if there was a super cut of this film where it was, kind of just the funny bits trimmed down,
that'd be worth it.
Maybe this is a YouTube clips type of movie. One might say. For me,
I do want to see Mr. Wayans as a baby.
It's pretty funny.
I do want to see that.
Yeah, that doesn't lose its nuance. But it's just the character's actions that make you go, oh, well.
Yeah, make you kind of question.
Yeah, maybe not. Well,
all right, that's a YouTube clips movie then.
Yeah.
Just to talk about two films that me and Graham watched together. Fast Fridays is still strong.
Still going strong.
It's still
free
kicking.
Tickets, still kicking.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. It's awesome. And so Graham had never seen Tokyo Drift, with Tokyo Drift being one of my favorite movies as a kid. Or not really one of my favorites, but I watched a lot because I think my family owned like the first 3 movies on DVD. So I took friend of the show, Andrew, and took my girlfriend to go see this because I said that it's something that needs to be seen in theaters.
I'm so glad you took me.
Yeah, it lives up. It
was something else.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Like, unironically, like a lot of fun. It was stupid. It was dumb as hell, but it was a lot of fun.
There might be the thing that I like about this movie is that I believe it's the first time Justin Lin comes in to direct one of the Fast and Furious movies. And I think you can actually, feel the turn in the franchise of becoming, Too Fast, Too Furious. It's like this whole police thing. It gets a little, I haven't seen the first Fast and the Furious in forever, and I plan on rewatching it soon. But I think, it kind of leans a little bit more into like the over the top action thing with Too Fast and Too Furious, and this one just kind of kicks it up a bit more. And it's just really it's a very, like Graham said, it's a very dumb movie, but it's very fun. I think the car scenes are like actually really engaging this time around. They just feel like a lot more energetic, and they don't feel as I just feel like they're shot in a better way where they feel more engaging. They don't feel as as fake, I guess, in Too Fast, Too Furious.
You have an excellent supporting character through Han. I love Han.
Han's awesome.
Han's fantastic.
Yeah. Chris has been petitioning for it forever, but hashtag justice for Han.
Justice for Han. Yeah.
I think y'all are going to get it in the new one.
I think we are.
Looking
I'm so excited.
We can hope, we can wish that Universal will listen to our prayers.
Have you seen Tokyo Drift, Chris?
No, I'm still quite behind. I've only seen 6 and up, so I have to watch 1 through 5 before 9 drops. Yeah,
I will say, judging from what we've seen, I haven't seen. This is the only Fast and Furious movie I've seen. I plan to change that, but yeah, I'd say it's a lot more grounded than what we get in 6, 7. I mean, granted, it's stupid. It's really dumb, but it's more grounded.
Yeah.
But the film kind of embraces it too. Like, it's and the funny thing about this film is everyone is giving it their all. Like, I never get the sense that an actor is like, yeah, whatever. Like,
the guy
I'm
with
just
the
showing
hair.
up. Yeah, like everyone is giving it 110%. So it's just like, it's so fun to watch to me.
A
And
kick-ass theme song.
Yeah, it's got anime proportions in terms of the storytelling, where you have
Oh,
this
yeah.
ultimate rival, or I'm
With
I'm
DK, the Drift King.
Were you
Yeah.
disappointed with the lack of Vin Diesel, though?
Now, I wouldn't say complete lack.
Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but I think there's a scene that pays off very well. It's very it's very awesome. It's very funny. Awesome isn't a good term to use for it, but it's it's what
Check
you
your
would
words.
want.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to find different ways to talk about this film, but it's fun. I feel like I said this last week with Too Fast, Too Furious. I'm not over the moon about that movie. Like, you can see it kind of taking its action turns and getting away from the grounded reality of streetcar racing and stuff like that. And I'm obviously speaking from a place where I don't really know the first movie that well. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, and that could change. I just feel like the franchise, this is a pivotal moment where it turns, but a lot of people really don't like this movie. It's like a lot of people's least favorite.
The protagonist might turn a few people off.
I was telling Graham, my dad hates this protagonist because he's just like a country like bumpkin dude, like
straight from Alabama.
Yeah, he's like, man, you gotta get the muscle car and shit. But the film is so funny because it opens up with a race between him and this jock.
Whoever wins.
Yeah, and he keeps smashing into everything. And then the further on in the movie you realize he was losing in that first one because he wasn't drifting. And drifting's the key.
Man, I won't drift.
Yeah,
I won't drift.
He's like, drift? What are you talking about? Drift. You got Hulk Car, you got Bow Wow.
Hulk Car is amazing. Bow Wow and Hulk Car were a highlight.
They're awesome. Yeah, please check out this movie. I don't get why, it's very ridiculous. Maybe that's why people don't like it. But because there were people when we saw it, opposed to last time when I saw Fast Fridays, there were other people in the theater, and they were like laughing at the film, which is completely normal.
I mean,
because I think it is
too.
We were too, but they were laughing more in like
I don't know. Scenes.
Yeah, they weren't appreciating what they
the art.
Maybe that's a bold claim for me to make, but they were just laughing at it because it was dumb, which it is. But I think it's just a fun little movie. But me and Graham also watched Juno, which I don't know if we can truly say that we watched because us and our friends were talking over quite a good bit. And so I did watch that. I don't think I really have too much to say other than I didn't think I would dislike Jason Bateman, but he's a very dislikable person in this movie.
Yeah, incredibly. Yeah. J.K. Simmons was okay.
Yeah, had you seen it? Wait, had you seen it before?
No.
My sister used to love this movie, and so I had seen it a really long time ago when I was a kid, but I just did not remember a single thing about it other than like the scene. I remember the beginning pretty vividly, but nothing really past that. But when I was rewatching, the Sunny D and how the like main title or the main like, what do you call that? The intro kind of sequences, like where it's hand drawn and stuff like that, or rotoscoped, however you want to like look at it. But
so quirky.
It is very
quirky.
It's definitely in the vein of those quirky like indie comedies and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's okay movie.
I mean, that was kind of like Elliot Page's like niche for a while,
Yeah, it seems like that. Yeah.
And then, like, have you ever seen Whip It from 2009?
I have not. Is that about doing whippets?
I wish. No, it's about like roller derby. It was actually directed by Drew Barrymore.
Yeah,
really?
No, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah,
I always wanted to see that when it first came out as a kid, but I didn't. Dude, I'll be honest, I completely forgot that movie came out until you just told me about it.
Not know that this movie existed.
Yeah. Well, I ought to do a double feature up here soon where I do Whip It and Thunderball. the remake and the set and the that came out around the same time, I would think that Whip It did. Which Thunderball, if I can sell anybody on that, which I haven't seen it yet, it might not be that good, but we'll see. It's a game of roller derby, but to the death.
Yeah,
So,
I want to see rollerball.
That's pretty sick.
Oh, rollerball. I was
Con-
calling it
yeah.
Thunderball. Oops.
Thunderball's a James Bond movie. Which
We're
we will
drifting
be
into that
talking.
territory.
We will probably be talking a little bit about, well, kind of James Bond adjacent news. I bet you probably wrote it down. What I'm alluding to, right? MGM.
Oh no, I didn't have that written down.
Okay, well, talk about that when news comes up. I'll lead it off, but
I just have one more thing. In the Mouth of Madness. Highly recommend that one.
That's
great practical effects.
That is a good John Carpenter movie. I'd probably say that was probably John Carpenter's last like great film.
Okay.
Other than Ghost of Mars.
I want to see Ghost of Mars so bad.
It's
I know
not
you don't.
very good.
Yeah,
I want to see Prince of Darkness.
Well, you know what? I do. Hey, we should watch that.
I'm down.
Yeah, I really want to see
sick.
Prince of Darkness. Yeah. Well, I recently heard that John Carpenter did a new metal genre score for Ghost of Mars, and that really sold me. I was like, damn, I need to see it. But were there any films that you guys watched over the last week that you kind of wanted to throw in?
Yeah, you got anything, Graham? Before
I covered all of mine.
Okay. Well,
right.
I definitely want to talk about. I do want to talk about. I watched Adam's Rib from 1949, which is a Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn screwball comedy directed by George Cukor or Cukor. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but guy who directed the Philadelphia Story.
Oh wow. Okay.
And it is a it's good for what it is. It's quite like a lot of Hepburn's films, because Hepburn was always kind of ahead of the curve with her with like her politics and how she portrayed herself as like kind of like this this more like liberated woman. That's kind of like a lot about this movie is about that, and about like equality of gender and stuff, and it's kind of, and it's really funny because it's Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, who were a pretty famous couple in real life, and they play a couple in this movie, and they're both lawyers, and they're defending both sides of a domestic abuse case, and like Katharine Hepburn just takes the other side of the case to prove her point about women not given fair treatment in the court of law, and so hijinks ensue. So check that one out. It's on HBO Max right now, and it's Tracy and Hepburn always coming in clutch. But yeah, and then I guess my last thing that I want to talk about is Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula.
Yes.
Sorry, Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker.
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
What an excellent adaptation. Much more closer to like the novel. Obviously, the Bram Stoker's Dracula part wants to stress that to you. But for the longest time, I had only seen the other novel adaptation that Sony did, maybe the same year or maybe a little bit before, but Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. 2 years later, which wasn't very good.
No.
Despite it kind of being unique. Frankenstein, Robert De Niro being a highlight, but this, on the other hand, was great. I think everybody did a good job, with the exception of Keanu Reeves.
No, Chris,
No.
come on.
Now that accent.
Well, the thing about the accent is that it really ebbs and flows, because at the beginning it wasn't that bad, and then like as the film progresses, it gets worse.
Deteriorates.
Well, maybe it was the sexual awakening he had that just made
In
him
Dracula's
not want to
castle.
be as British as he once was, you know. Chris, was that your first time watching Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Oh, man. Did you hear my I remember we were I think you were there. I was at the park. I think it was you and Andrew. And I hyped it up, and a few more of our friends. And I hyped it up a lot. That was like when me and Graham first watched it. I love that movie.
There's so much. I could sit here and talk about it for a few minutes, but
the staging is excellent. Like, and every shot is so well planned out, and like they shot it. They've shot pretty much all of it on sound stages, and they all look great.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins as Van Helsing.
Amazing.
Gary Oldman as Dracula.
Fantastic. Yeah. The thing I don't understand with that one is when people look at Francis Ford Coppola, I don't see a lot of people take to that one. Well, I think it's great, man.
I think a lot of people discount Coppola post-apocalypse now.
Yeah.
And it's like and he's like one of my favorite. He's probably like, I don't know, maybe like my top. It's like probably like a top 3 director for me.
Yeah.
And it's like what do you? It's hard to like top Apocalypse Now, Godfather 1 and Godfather 2.
Yeah.
And so like, but he has a lot of other great films in there. A Conversation as well. One from the Heart, Rumblefish. Tucker, A Man in His Dream is a good one, and the Dracula. But
I just think a lot of people, I don't know. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it has a fair rep.
They compare it to a similar pedestal as Godfather 1 and 2, when you can tell this is just a man trying to have some fun.
Yeah. It's creative. It's beautiful. Shot on film. I mean, because, you know, it was the time period too. But, I mean, it's beautiful.
Cast
it's so much fun. Yeah, everyone's really giving it. Especially Anthony Hopkins and Gary Oldman. They're giving it their all.
Oh, they're going head to head. They're giving it their all.
Oh, and don't forget
Keanu's
about
accents. Very funny.
Don't forget about like the Billy Campbell, who played Quincy Morris, like the Texan guy.
Yeah, like, pretty good too.
There's this one quote, like, I just love all the things that he says and how he like acts like a stereotypical like Texan, where he goes, and may I say that Miss Lucy is hotter than a June bride riding bareback buck naked in the middle of the Sahara. But yeah, that's definitely my hard recommendation for the week is, well, Dracula and Adam's Rib, both on HBO Max actually. So I guess you want to move into news.
Yeah. Do you want to say your thing about MGM real quick?
Yeah. So leading off the news, I just wanted to say that so MGM they're trying to sell themselves. The MGM is for sale right now, and they have been since December. And apparently Amazon is in talks to buy them for $9 billion, according to Variety.
Oh my God.
So,
Jesus.
you know, we got plenty, and you know, it's MGM's been kind of passed around a lot.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about MGM is that they don't actually own most of their movies. They
That's
only
what I was gonna
own.
Say. I think the only worthy thing that anyone who would buy MGM would just be getting the big money thing would be James Bond,
because they don't really artists.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And Orion. I mean, like they own a lot of things now. Like they own a lot of those. They own like a lot of those De Palma, like early De Palma movies, like Blowout and stuff, and Dress to Kill. But it's just kind of like the pre-84 library of MGM is owned by Warner Brothers. So, but still a lot of good things in there. Like United Artists has plenty of great stuff. Raging Bull, Silence of the Lambs, or no, Silence of the Lambs is just
Raging
MGM.
Bull 2.
Raging Bull 2, Rage Harder.
Harder, right? That could be a sequel that we could cover. I guess it's kind of an unofficial sequel, but you know, it's still a sequel.
Is Raging Bull 2 just any movie where Robert De Niro gets mad?
No, what's the boxer's name?
Oh, Grudge Match?
No. He there's actually the boxer was unhappy with
Jake LaMotta.
Yeah, Jake LaMotta. He got a Raging Bull 2
made. The Bronx Bull.
Yeah, to correct the story because he was unhappy with how Raging Bull.
How have I never heard
portrayed
of this?
him? Hey, Showgirls 2 and Raging Bull 2, A Bronx Tale.
Raging Bull 2, A Bronx Tale.
Add another one to the list.
But yeah, that's also will be, it's all rumored. But apparently, according to this rumor, the talks have been going on for weeks. But we'll see how that develops. But
yeah, that's cool.
Another thing that Amazon will own, isn't that so cool? They'll own everything. At least Disney didn't buy it, right, guys?
That's very true. But now we have speaking of big deals going on in Hollywood, there's also AT&T is trying to buy Discovery. And Chris might be able to kind of fill us in better on that one because I'm a little confused by the lingo that they're using with that one.
Well, it's not that AT&T is buying Discovery.
They're buying more that streaming.
No,
Discovery Plus.
It's AT&T is spinning off Warner Media. They're getting rid of it.
Oh,
and they're gonna and they're gonna merge and Discover, or they're gonna create like a merger with Discovery, and it will be kind of isolated. I don't know how they'll work it out.
Yeah, that's weird.
But apparently AT&T is just fed up with this. They don't want to deal with the streaming service, the streaming wars and whatnot. So they're trying to shift gears, which is good because well, fuck AT&T, but also they probably realized they can't do too many things at once. It's it's hard enough probably focusing on running being one of the largest cellular carriers. So
yeah. Well, I heard that one of the CEO of AT&T came out and he said, "No, I only bought a subscription to Disney Plus." Oh fuck, Discovery Plus. Fuck.
Oh.
I mean, it wasn't that funny of a joke to begin with.
The effort was there.
Yeah, you really. I just really love though that every single thing is blah 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 plus blah 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 plus.
Well, I mean,
you got HBO Max. That's different.
HBO Max.
Yeah, that was different.
Get the Max.
At least Peacock is different.
Yeah, that's true. Well, without further ado, we'll hop right into the news. And then we'll talk about the trailers. So Michael Lewis's book on the pandemic, which has been called The Premonition. I looked up how to pronounce it. Premonition, thank you, and I still got it wrong. It's being adapted by Chris Miller and Phil Lord, who will direct and produce that adaptation. So they've got their next thing going on. Maybe it kind of brings in the question, is it too soon to do a coronavirus
We're kind of still in it,
but
kind of still in it.
We've had multiple already, so I guess I get, but and then Ryan Johnson is continuously building out his cast of Knives Out 2, and he has added Janelle Monáe, Edward Norton, and Catherine Hahn to the cast. So that's pretty interesting. Last week we talked about Dave Bautista coming, and we know that Daniel Craig is also coming back to reprise his role. But In other news, Regina King is set to direct an adaptation of Image Comics' Bitterroot comic series. And it's currently being rewritten by Brian Edward Hill, so that is currently in development. Jungle Cruise, which I honestly thought had been pushed out of the summer, but I guess it's still coming out. But Jungle Cruise will come out on Disney Plus Premier Access and also in cinemas on July 30th. In terms of what Netflix has going on right now, they have announced an Elena Holmes 2 with the same creative team returning that did the first movie, and also Millie Bobby Brown and Henry Cavill are also returning as well. In terms of Russell Crowe news, he has found his next film with Gary Fledler helming the project. It is called Poker Face. Not too much is known about it at the moment, but Stephen M. Coates is also writing it. James Mangold has added Shawnette Renee Wilson and Boyd Holbrook to Indiana Jones 5, so that movie is moving steady forward. The director of Bumblebee, Travis Knight, has found his next film called Uprising, which will apparently be a vampire kind of themed film. And then continuing the theme of vampires, Jessica M. Thompson is directing a film called The Bride, which will be another vampire themed project. It is currently being written by Blair Butler and has added Natalie, Nathalie. I'm probably butchering that.
Nathalie.
I don't know. I'm sorry. So sorry. Nathalie Emmanuel and Garrett.
It's Natalie Emmanuel.
Natalie. Oh my God, I feel like such a dumbass. But okay. Garrett Hedlund also to the cast, so that is moving forward. 2019's Pet Sematary is getting a sequel from screenwriter Lindsay Beer, who will be directing it. I don't know if there's any word on her writing it yet. But yeah, so that movie's getting a sequel. In terms of sequels coming out right now, Joe Cornish is working on Attack of the Block 2 with John Boyega also returning to lead the cast. And then on the trailer side of things, we have The Green Knight from A24, which is directed by David Lowery and has Dev Patel in the lead. Will be out July 30th. This one has been kind of long awaited. Has been delayed a little bit, but I'm glad to hear that it's finally coming out. Stillwater, which is a Matt Damon thriller, which is directed by Tom McCarthy, is coming out on July 30th. And Tom McCarthy's previous film, I think, was Spotlight. But this one is kind of a thriller about Matt Damon trying to save his daughter. So that is coming out soon. The Forever Purge, which might be I guess it's being touted as the final purge, but
I wouldn't hold my breath.
Yeah. I have a final purge question mark because a lot of the horror franchises will say it's the final one. Like we just had Spiral come out. That's continuing.
Saw 7, aka Saw 3D, was or it was called Saw. I think it was Saw 3D, the final chapter. Mm-hmm. Then they had Jigsaw a couple years later, or they had Jigsaw about 8 years later or 7 years later, and then they had Spiral, which just came out last week. So
so that one will be out July 2nd. And then we have Edgar Wright's next project, which is a documentary about the Sparks brothers. That'll be out June 18th. And finally, me and Chris talked about this a little bit a few episodes ago. But Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins, has had a trailer released.
That's right.
And
kind of out of left field.
Not the De Palma movie. No connection to the Brian De Palma movie of the same name, but we watched the trailer today, and it's I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I'm in the same camp.
G.I. Joe.
It just looks like an action movie, which is what it's supposed to be. So
yeah, I don't want some critique of it's not. It doesn't try to be more than that.
That'll be out July 23rd. So that one is coming out quite soon.
Oh wow.
So I guess I just want to say thank you, Graham, for joining us this week.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you now hold the title of being in the sequel crew, but also our first reoccurring guest that we've had on the show.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't mean for it to sound like that.
Yeah.
No, but I'm honored to be part of the sequel crew.
Thank you. Thank you. Stay safe. Join us next week for our Medea themed episode.
Yeah.
Be a good one.
Yeah, and
yeah, stay wavy.
stay safe.